What is up, guys? Nishi from MST.TV here with another Market Watch episode. So it is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Off-season right now, which is typically a time where a lot of cards are dipping in price due to them not being used as much. However, while we are seeing cards like Phantasme drop, there's still a lot happening in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market. Lots of cards that are climbing up pretty quickly in price because people are expecting they're going to be used in the near future, or people are hyped up for product that's going to be released later this year. So in this video, we're going to talk a bit about some of these cards and whether or not those cards are going to continue climbing up or if they're going to tank right back down. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so to start off with, we are going to look at Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, specifically the Ghost Rare version. This card is currently sitting at around $60 for the cheapest version on TCG Player, which I think is pretty crazy, considering that there are alternative printings of this card, and it's not that old of a card, right? It's not like Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon, where you have lots of different printings available, but the Ghost Rare first ed is really hard to find. This card is something that inflicts burn damage that can be made fairly easily from the extra deck, being a generic level 8 synchro monster, and at the same time it's a dragon, which means more realistically you're going to be summoning it with the effect of Aggro Pain to win the game in time. Of course, when a card is receiving attention, the highest rarity versions are typically what's bought out first, so the Ghost Rare was a natural target here. If you'd like to play a more budget version, you can purchase a rare from Dimensional Guardians for only $1 or $2. Whether or not you guys want to buy or sell this card is kind of up to you, right? Like, as a Ghost Rare, it's very likely that it's going to retain some value because most Ghost Rares do. However, I think that as soon as the Guard Dragon package gets hit, this card is going to drop a bit because it is losing that little bit of utility in terms of value. So I think that now would actually be a very good time to sell the card. Okay, so next up we have Dragunity Knight Barcha. This is one that's actually been up in price for a little while now, and I kind of wanted to see where its price was going to settle at. However, it really hasn't settled at all, and there are fairly few quantities available on the market. This card is apparently a key card in Dragunity decks, and with the new Dragunity Link monster out, this card has picked up some people's attention. I don't think that Dragunity are going to be the best deck of the meta by any means, but I do think that they're a fairly strong deck that is going to have a few like regional tops, maybe the odd YCS top, especially with the Guard Dragon package still being available. This card's currently sitting at around like $40 for the dual terminal version, and the secret rare, the cheapest one I could find, is like $50. I think the cheapest on TCG Player is sitting at $100 for a near mint copy. Obviously, this card price isn't sustainable. Typically, like once cards get bought out to this extent, we see them rebound back down in price fairly quickly. However, because this is an older card with very limited printings, there aren't enough available for the price to be listed all the way back down, right? I think like a lot of newer players don't have access to these older cards in their bulk or anything like that. However, I do think that this card is going to be reprinted in something like an OTS pack, or someone's going to dig through their bulk hollows and pull out like 100 copies of this card and like tank the price. So it's absolutely something that I would be selling sooner rather than later for whatever price you can get, even if it's as low as like $20 to $25. Okay, so this card is one that I found like completely by chance. So we're at the point where a lot of older collectible cards are just like randomly disappearing from the market, and their prices are going up accordingly. However, for some really odd reason, of all the Earthbound Immortal Ultimate Rare First Editions, Kapak Apu is going up higher than the others. So currently the Ultimate Rare Unlimited is sitting at around $40, and the First Ed is up to like $60. This is higher than the prices of the other Ulti First Ed Earthbound Immortals, which are currently sitting at anywhere from like $10 to $20. However, the weird thing is that this is also true of the Super Rare. So the current price for the Super Rare Earthbound Immortal Kapak Apu is $10, whereas all the other Earthbound Immortal Super Rare reprints are around $5. And I have absolutely no idea why this is happening. I tried looking for an answer and I can't really find anything, so if you guys know, let me know in the comments below. The best thing I can think of is that this card can attack directly or inflict burn damage, so it could like potentially win you games in time, but other than that, like your guess is really as good as mine. Alright, so the next card up here is Artifact Sanctum. I actually talked about this card in a previous investment video, so I hope that you guys listened to me and picked up your sets of Sanctum, because currently we're looking at anywhere from $10 to $12 as being the cheapest price for a copy of Artifact Sanctum. When I discussed the card before, it was sitting at only like $5, so it's basically doubled in price since then. And that's largely because like Scythe used to be the expensive card in the Artifact engine and was about like $10 a copy. However, since it got reprinted in Battles of Legend, it became extremely affordable. So people were able to pick up their Scythes and their Moraltoks and their Lancias, and people just naturally had to buy out all the cheap copies of Sanctum, which has naturally caused the price to increase over the past month or so. So now the engine isn't as cheap, right? Because you're looking at dropping like $30 on a playset of Sanctum. Fortunately, it is the off-season now, so I'd say there's a decent chance that before you need to play a copy, it's going to be reprinted sometime in the near future if there's enough demand for it. Possibly something in like Dual Devastator. Alright, so next up is a bit of a random one and not something that's super high up there in price anymore, but Dark Fusion, specifically the ultra rare print from Legendary Collection Generation X, is currently about $5, which isn't like super high or anything, but it kind of caught me off guard considering that I clearly remember when I pulled them like way back, I gave them to friends for free, so I kind of feel bad about that, but like whatever. Anyways, with new evil hero support coming out in Legendary Duelists Immortal Destiny, this card has seen a little bit of a price jump. However, I do believe it's extremely likely that the card is going to be reprinted again in that set. Also, I'd be really surprised if evil heroes had any impact on the competitive meta at all. So this is definitely a card that I would move sooner rather than later. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at a card that is expected to see some play in the Marincess deck, and that card is totally awesome. I remember when this card first came out, it was roughly like $50 to $60, and over the last like year or so, it really has dropped considerably, down to where it's about $5 to $10 a piece. But now with all the talk about Marincess being a meta deck and getting a lot of new support, it has jumped back up in price. Actually, it's kind of funny because like a few hours ago, I was looking at cards to discuss and just double checking prices, and it was like $15. And just now I double checked the price a few hours later, and it's already up to $20. So by the time I post this video, who knows what the price is going to be. Anyways, there are currently only two printings of Totally Awesome. We have the original Secret Rare and the Megaton reprint. So the card is somewhat difficult to find. I think that a lot of players are speculating that Marincess with Frogs will be a decent meta deck. You guys just saw yesterday's video that Tombox posted featuring Russell, his Marincess deck that does play Totally Awesome. So a lot of players probably picking up their Toads now. I think this card is gradually going to see a steady increase until the price hits like maybe $25. And then from there it depends. If we see the deck do well, maybe top at YCS Portland, I could see the card hitting up to like that $35 or even $40 price point. But if it doesn't, I'd expect it to stay within the $20 to $25 range until we get some new Marincess support confirmed, maybe some new cards that maybe break the deck. Either way, I would be a bit wary of a reprint since the last reprint was like 2 years ago now, and I really wouldn't be surprised if it either got reprinted in Dual Devastator or as like an OTS pack Ultimate Rare. Alright, so this is another card that isn't like really high up there in price, but There Can Only Be One is a super rare from a relatively new set that is currently starting at a lowest price of anywhere from $5 to $8 depending on the platform you're looking at. This card's like a really good floodgate, kind of like a reverse rivalry of Warlords, and it has seen meta play in like Scub Terror and in Sky Striker. Also, an important note is that despite being relatively new, the card only has one printing. It wasn't reprinted in the Megatons last year, which is probably like a really big contributing factor as to why this card's price is so high. However, as like a good generic side deck card, I would fully expect There Can Only Be One to be reprinted in Dual Devastator later this year. So if you guys have this card, I would hold on to your playset of it because you guys can probably use it in a lot of decks, and you probably only paid like maybe $1 or $2 each. But I would absolutely sell all of your extra copies as soon as possible. Alright, Harpies Pet Baby Dragon Ultimate Rare. We're looking at a bit of a weird case here. So typically when we see older ultimate rares going up in price, it's a buyout. So we'll see all of the quantities get bought out at like a really low price, and then that's it, they're gone from the market. So even if the listed price is high, the market price would be considered low because we haven't actually seen anyone pay that higher price for the card being bought out. Harpies Pet Baby Dragon is different in that its price increase has been pretty organic and kind of natural over time. So currently we're looking at upwards of $25 for one copy near mint on TCG Player. However, we also see a market price of $19, so the card wasn't like just bought out randomly, right? It's gradually been bought over time and people have gradually paid a higher and higher price for it. I'm not entirely sure why this is. I get that we got like a new Harpy Link monster, but I don't believe this card is actually played in Harpies unless like you're trying to play a Harpy Guard Dragon or something. Doesn't really seem that great to me. But yeah, pretty strange increase here. So if you guys know why people want this card, let me know down below. If I had to guess and take a shot at it, I'd say that it's just a card that people want to collect, especially since it has the art of Harpy Girl on the card, but who knows. Alright, so Toon Kingdom is a card that's always been pretty up there in terms of price. It was short printed when it first came out in Dragons of Legend 2 as a secret rare, and then when it was reprinted again in Legendary Duelists, the rare was also short printed. So the secret rare is currently sitting anywhere from $20 to $25, which is about where I'd expect the price to be. However, the rare has actually been mostly bought out at $15. Actually, there's one single copy at the time I'm making this video for $15, but when I checked a couple of hours ago, it was actually completely bought out from TCG Player, which to me is really weird. If I were a collector or I wanted to play Toons or something like that, I'd be wanting the secret rare copy, which is only like a bit more, so that would be my buyout target, not the reprinted rare, which isn't even a holo. However, it could also just be that there's low quantities on the market given how hard the card is to pull. Overall, like Toon Kingdom, definite sell for me. I've never been really big on Toons or anything like that. Also, I don't know where exactly it would get a reprint in the near future. It feels like the kind of card that would be reprinted in something like a legendary collection whenever we're going to get the next one. And finally guys, big shout out to Final Blue 1234 for mentioning this card, because I definitely wouldn't have noticed it otherwise. Rotas Slash Dragon is a slightly older fusion monster from Legendary Duelist, the original pack. It lets you equip a warrior monster from your graveyard as an equipped spell to it, and then you can detach that monster to negate a card or effect that targets a card you control and destroy it. It also lets you special summon monsters from the graveyard that were equipped to this card when it dies, so it's definitely got some great effects. The biggest problem here is how you're actually going to get it onto the field. Red Eyes decks definitely like aren't consistent by any stretch of the imagination. So really like the only way I see this card being viable at all or actually being summoned is through the Guard Dragon package. And even then, I feel like there are always going to be better alternatives, better cards that you could be putting out. So for me, this card is a definite sell. I'm pretty confident that either the card is going to get reprinted in something like a Legendary Dex or a Legendary Collection, and it's absolutely going to tank in price, or it's just going to be another card that got hyped up and bought out and then settled back down to where it was before when people realize that no one's really going to be playing it. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. I was actually just kind of like browsing online and I noticed some things that kind of caught me off guard, so I wanted to talk about them here. Honestly, even then, I probably missed like a bunch of things that are going on in the market, so please let me know in the comments below what kind of things you guys have been noticing, maybe a card trend that I haven't picked up on. Maybe I'm completely overlooking something super obvious and haven't covered it, but I would love to do the very best job that I can to bring you guys more information and keep you as informed as possible. Later this week, I'm going to be dropping a couple more videos that should hopefully help you guys out as well, but I'm not going to say anything more about it here. So yeah, please smash that thumbs up button if you guys learned something or found something out this market watch. And please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.